Let's jump into bubble.io interface. Here, what you'll see when you start a new project. So, first of all, log in yourself into bubble.io. You can either log in by creating new ID or you can just log in with Google. Like I've used my Google account to sign in to my bubble.io account. Here, you can just simply create your own new personalized application. Here, you'll find a button called Create an App. You can click on it. You can name your app anything. For example, I named it Phase 1. We can start with the basic features. Once you will logged in and created an app, the bubble will show us a bubble assistant which will guide you through the application and through the editor zone. You can next step or skip application assistant howsoever you want it, and you can simply change here anything that you like. These were the global changes. Global changes you can see here. Everything is here. You can either change it here or you can change it later. Any kind of plugins you can install it pre-handed. And here how this is how the bubble database looks like. So basically here in this canvas we will be having four main tabs. First one is the design tab. In the design tab you can drag and drop any element. For example, your button, text, icon, anything whatsoever is available here. Any kind of container, groups, input elements, reusable element, which I will tell you later in the videos. So you can just simply drag and drop. Once you'll drop or click that particular thing, for example, here I've dropped in button and a text. Once you click on that particular, a pop-up will show up. This pop-up will contain all of the CSS, or you can say the styling for that particular button. You can style it accordingly. You can change the label, or you can change it to icon and label, or just an icon. Change its font style, font size, font style, everything. You can change it here. What kind of layout you wanted it, and any kind of conditions which you will learn later in the course. Second one, we will be having the workflow tab. So basically, this workflow tab is where the magic happens. Here, you will set up the actions that determine how your app behaves, like what's happened when a user clicks a button. For example, here I am on this particular button, hello, and I wanted to add a workflow. Means I wanted to give it some kind of action, like on clicking hello button, it should do some kind of task. Button is clicked. You can add action. For example, sign the user up, go to some particular page, open into an external website. We have ample amount of options here. If you have any kind of plugin installed, any kind of feature, it will be shown here. Any custom events, element action, analytics, payment, email actions, data actions, navigation account will be seen here. About all of these we will study in the later. Another one is the database tab. So basically, this tab is where you manage all of your application data, creating table for user, post, or any type of data that you wanted, any kind of listing or anything. You can simply create your own new data type here. For example, I created listing type of data and created listing. Bubble offers this user data type as a default one. It will keep a track whoever is logging into your application. As just now I created new listings type of data type, and you can create any field you wanted. For example, name. I've selected a type text, created it. For example, I wanted to add email. We can select any kind of, for example, here I'm adding it text only. In the privacy, we can attach any kind of rule related to that particular data type. Here we can select data. User is a privacy rule that has been connected with it. This user is current user. So we can check, uncheck any field and define any kind of rule that we wanted to be linked with that particular data type. Another tab is for the app data, which will consist of all the data that we are going to be viewed. Any data that is belong to this particular application can be viewed here. For example, this listings, users. This database data type contains email, created date, modified date, slug. We can change any kind of entries that are visible here in the database from the data type by adding any field that we wanted. For example, here we have default email, modified date, created date, slug. We can add a new field called full name. Select it field type and we can simply create it. Now we are able to see that there is full name kind of a new column has been added to our data type user. We can edit each, like we can upload our file of database into the bubble database. We can add manually any kind of entry. We can modify any kind of entries. So this is how the bubble database works. This tab includes the option sets. Basically, we can here create option sets dynamic. For example, we are creating a drop down button where we wanted to use multiple options which will be using in our applications again and again. So we can simply just create that particular option set here and simply create it on the front end. This tab will contain our file manager. It will display all of the files that are stored. Any kind of media or anything can be visible here. This is tiling tab. So particularly this tab is basically used for global designing and global defining of any element that we are going to use in our bubble application. For example, this search box, we have created this bubbles default styling for standard search. We can change any kind of color, any kind of anything globally which we wanted. We can do it here. Any button changes we wanted to do, date time picker or any element, we can just simply add a global style to it and later use in the application. Rather than changing for each and every element, we can change here so that it will appear globally. This tab will include the plugin. So currently the application does not include any kind of plugin. We can simply click on add plugin button and add any of the plugin that we wanted. Plugin is basically helping hands for our application. If we wanted to include any kind of external feature, for that particular feature we can include plugin. It is always preferable because rather than uploading a whole package, it is always preferable to include only that single plugin or that single thing only. For example, I wanted to include Google material icon, so rather than including whole package for the icons, I have chosen Google material plugin and simply just click on install. And here we are having in our backend Google material icons. So likewise we can work with bubble plugins. This tab contains our settings for the application. Here we'll be able to see workloads, storage, and plugins, and app plan. Here in the general, we can find our privacy and security, whether it is a private app or everyone can view or everyone can edit. We can give any kind of, as I am the admin for this application, I can give any person any kind of rights which I wanted to be added to this particular application. We have password protection. Here we can check uncheck these boxes according to our requirement. We have two factor authentication. We have general appearance. These are the favicon icons we can update, which will appear on our bubble application. Any kind of map location we wanted to enter, we can enter our API keys here. iOS appearance, we can adjust from here. Any custom fonts that we wanted to include in our application, we can simply just add CSS file path. Any kind of Figma design that we wanted to import in our application, we can simply just add API key and the Figma file ID and click on import, and the whole design will be imported to our bubble application. This is app file management. This is basically to optimize our application or to increase the performance speed for our application. This is for the importing and exporting. These are the advanced option. For example, this one expose the option to add ID attribute. As I have a little prior knowledge regarding the HTML elements, I can check and check it according to my own requirement, as Bubble offers and allow us to add HTML, JavaScript, any kind of content or libraries into our application. It all depends on the user or the admin who is creating the application. On this particular domain and email tab, we can here simply connect our Bubble ID to set up with a particular domain that customer has purchased for their application. Here we can do email setting, TLS encryption. Here we can choose the languages, what should be the primary language, language type, any kind of CSV wanted to import, export, error wordings in case our app encounters any kind of error in the application backend. So these are that we can adjust it. This tab contains SEO, search engine optimization. So your app, so Bubble itself offers SEO and meta tags option so that our application will be on the top of the Google search. So we can write down here. These are for the script and meta tags. For example, if anyone wants to include Google Tag Manager or Google Analytics, so they provide us some kind of code, so we can include here in the header or in the body. These are 301 redirections, root directory. This is for the API, any kind of like API workflow we wanted to enable in our backend workflows. Here in the workflows, if we wanted to enable API workflow, we have to go to settings and need to enable this all to make it work or to appear it for the action purposes. Otherwise, Bubble default do not show this option. Then we have third party auth. This is for the SSO. We will be discussing it later once we have created an application and gone through the course. This is for any kind of collaborations we have done. So we can simply invite any user by giving them any kind of edit, view, or any kind of, you can say, accessibility to that particular person. So these will be the sub app for the application in case we have any, so we can create here. These are just for the app versions. We can control our app versions from here, and this is for the Bubble admin only, just to see any kind of notifications we are having on the application backend. This will contains our workload, basically how much work we are doing on the Bubble application, what is the amount of workload we are using. This will contain the server logs. This will be the scheduler. So let's hop on to the design tab again. So for design tab, we can preview our application from here. Just click on it and a new preview tab will be able to see here. This is we are able to see, this is what Bubble offers. So we can inspect our application at each and every step in here, or we can make it slow step by step inspection. It is a debugger basically, which Bubble offers by default. We can add any kind of predefined components from Bubble. Bubble offers some components which are very useful when creating an app using the bubble.io. For example, we are having headers, marketing, sidebars, footer, lists and fields, input and forms, app element, page layout. So we can simply just drag and drop it to use them. So here you are able to see that I have just simply dragged and dropped a sidebar layout here on our bubble page. So it is that simple. So thank you for watching, guys.